Hi and welcome back to Mike FN Garage. We have a new welder here. The features of this welder versus some of the others is this has a liner inside the torch so that you can set it up to do aluminum without having to do a spool gun. So it's kind of cool that it has that feature. It's very inexpensive, available on Amazon. You guys can take a look at the link in the description. Tell me what you think on that. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and do an unbox on this. We'll speed this up a little bit, and then what I'm going to go ahead and do is we'll take a look at what's inside after I get it all open. Talk guys a little bit later. Well, I gotta say, it's certainly a nice looking machine. It's got, of course, this is a stick welder, but also a MIG gas, and it comes with a nice, decent gas line. Pretty nice. I don't see a regulator, so you'll need to buy that separately. Keep that in mind. I don't see a regulator in the package at all. Let me just look and make sure it wasn't in the white foam. So yeah, it doesn't have a regulator. Just check again. There's two different liners. I'm going to think that this one, you slide this inside. Let me get over this angle because the sun's at a weird thing. You can pull this one out here. I believe, I'm not sure exactly how to do that. I'll have to check into that. And you slide this one in for the aluminum because it said it had a separate liner for that, or said it had a liner that would take that. So it's like a plastic liner that it can go through inside the torch. And so the ground cable, well, it looks like it's okay. I mean, how long is it? Let's see. Looks like a decent length for the ground. I think it's 10 feet. So that's pretty good. Gotta figure out what polarity to do aluminum. I can't remember. You hook these in here. I think if it's the same polarity. Oh, it's AC. I don't know. I don't know on never welded aluminum with a MIG, so in fact I've never welded aluminum either with the MIG or with a TIG. Never got a chance to, but we're going to try this and learn together. So it comes with some tips. Looks like some different, wow, it's got some different size wheels here. 3 different ones, which is kind of handy. A lot of them are missing some of them, so it comes with them. So that's nice. Looks like it's got a nice little set of controls. So you got voltage, amps. There's a wire feed button, so you can probably just push that and the wire will feed without running the gas, which is nice. You don't want to waste that. To weld with aluminum, you need to use argon. You don't use argon mix. You need to use argon with it. So inside here, got this is pretty decent. It's got a metal feed system. Again, the things I look for on these, metal feed system. And there's also another wheel on there, so that's good to know. And it has a decent, this is sort of like the one on Harbor Freight, which is pretty good. Feed wheel setup, so it's nice and sturdy. Like the cheaper welders sometimes don't have, this is where they kind of cut corners. So this one's actually pretty good here. Again, for the price, it doesn't look too bad. I don't remember the amps, I guess 250. So yeah, it's a decent looking machine. Looks like it's got some good features to it. And again, it does the aluminum right. You can put the feed wheel right on here, which I'm going to do. And it does take the large spool of wire, so that you guys are going to use it as a regular MIG for steel. It does take the large spool of wire, which that's important. Those are all important things to look at. But I do have a small spool of aluminum wire, which I'm going to try this on the aluminum. I'm certain it welds fine with steel, but we're going to try it first on aluminum, just so you guys can see that feature of it, because that's really the main difference between this and some of the other welders that I've reviewed. So this will be helpful for you guys if you're looking for a machine that does aluminum and steel. This, we'll see if this works out, and find out if you can MIG weld aluminum with it. Again, you will need 2 bottles if you're going to do that. You're going to need to have one with just argon, or you can switch out and go to an straight argon bottle for aluminum and argon mix for steel. Or it also, you can do flux core, or if you really, if you have something really thick, like really thick frame steel, it's really nice to use an arc welder too for that. So it does have an arc welding, what's this called, electrode or whatever to hold it. Electrode holder. Looks like a pretty sturdy one. So yeah, that would work out pretty good for that. So you can weld pretty thick steel with it, and also weld MIG weld with it, and also do aluminum. So, and also you can use flux core as well. So if you didn't want to, if you just wanted to do some aluminum, and then you weren't worried about splatter, and you said, hey, I could just use the flux core and just have the other, you could do that as well. So anyway, we'll put it together and give it a shot and see what happens. I know, guys, it's going to be impossible for me to really show you this on camera here because of the LED flicker. Is there maybe a better way? Is it better like that? As soon as I get it away, it does it. Yeah, there's really no setting here. Anyway, the fan's kind of loud. Hopefully you can hear me over it, because I got you guys up kind of close. I can back you up a little bit maybe and use, then the sound kind of adjusts. We'll figure it out. So anyway, let's just go with this. All right, I'm playing around with some aluminum right now. I cannot weld aluminum, so I have no idea what I'm doing. But I put it, so I set it right here. So I'm just going to show you guys. It goes from up here. If you can even read what that says, you might want to get the manual out and look at it. The first one, I got my reading glasses on and I can't read it, but I don't know what that is. But what you do is you select your material. Apparently, I think this is one of them, CO2 mix steel. This one here is one straight argon. I think the first one's straight argon, I'm gonna guess. The second one is CO2 mix, and then you got flux core settings, and then you got aluminum. So what you want to do is, and with this, the first setting, you can actually weld stainless steel with this machine. So I just found that out. So you can load stainless steel. So it says SS. That's it, stainless steel. Yeah. So and then you can go to CO2 mix for steel, and then the other one for flux. It's a little bit of a learning curve here with this. So hopefully, if you end up buying one of these, you can watch this as a reference. And then aluminum down here. So I've selected aluminum. So what you do is you select material first. Then you go over here to mode, and you got your modes. So you got, I see there it says 2T. It took me a while to figure out how to get it off of 4T. So that was a little frustrating. And I was trying to weld with it on 4T. Of course, I got a horrible mess. So anyway, so I finally figured out how to get it to 2T, so I'll show you what I did. So the next thing you do is go to mode. So you have modes here, and you can go to that's synergic mode, I guess, and I think that's only available for doing flux core. I don't know that much about doing flux core because I don't use it. I usually do just gas MIG, but I like that it does stainless steel, so that's kind of neat. And then I don't know what that setting is. Let me look. I believe that one's for hot start for TIG welding, so you can select your heat for TIG welding. We're not going to be doing any TIG welding today. but it's got a setting for that, which is kind of nice. So it does have a strike and arc style TIG welder. It doesn't come with a torch for it, but it's there if you wanted to do it. So I think that's what that is hot start TIG welding. Like I said, I can barely see myself. I need like this shaded. And this here is for TIG welding, something else for that. Like I said, we're not going to be doing TIG welding, so that's what you're looking for. So we're looking for manual 2T or manual, okay? And to get it to change from manual to 4T, if you ever wanted to do that, if you got it stuck on 4T, you just go here and then you switch this. So you go to setup after you select your material and you selected manual or synergic mode for flux score. Y'all can learn that on your own, because again, I'm not going to be doing that. Or this little thing here, I don't know what that really is, but it looks like, I think that's what it is according to the manual. Or then the little TIG welder, that's a little TIG welder. You can't really see it in the video, but that's what's there. Okay, so we got a manual mode, 2T. So then if you go here, there's this, and let me see. Yeah, that's the one that goes from 2T to 4T. Okay, I don't know what that means. Maybe you guys can figure that out. I have to kind of figure it out myself. And then inductance. So then you've also got inductance on his setup thing. So you can go to inductance and kind of do this. We'll set it on 5 in the middle. I don't really do inductance much, and so it just goes from setup to here. So if you're in a different mode, say let's you're in stainless and you go to mode here, you're going to push that around. It'll give you some different selections. And then or if you're in steel, you'll go to mode over here. It'll probably give you like manual. You can just try it here. Let's go to, this is what we're going to be mostly doing, is steel. So we'd go to steel with argon mix, then we could go to here and it'll give us a couple of different options. Oh, okay, that's probably TIG welding, and then we can adjust our thickness or our startup, and then our TIG welding setting there. So we're not going to be doing that. So we're going to select MIG. So your steel, you would select MIG, and then when you get into that mode, you can go to T2, T2, 4T, and you go over here for inductance for your MIG welding. So it's going to be like the same for the same available things. So when you use the other things, if you ever do, you're going to be using those settings. So it has a volt and an amp setting, and then you have automatic wire speed, I believe. But sometimes that works pretty good. But if you look here, you see here the automatic settings. You can actually adjust it a bit too. So aluminum, I have no idea what volts to go with, or amps or wire speed. So it just shows meters per minute. So it says meters per minute. Okay, and so everything's in meters. So if you're used to seeing like feet per second, you know, like 150, you kind of get used to meters per second. And you know, I think around, I guess, what do I usually put? I don't know what I usually put it at. I have to totally relearn this based on meters. So meters per second, 2T, voltage. Maybe I'll play around with the voltage a bit and I'll get you guys back in. But that's basically how you set the welder up. It's a little trickier than your normal, you know, wire speed and amp, you know, wire speed or in voltage. All right, it's a little trickier than that. It's volts, amps, automatic wire speed, And again, you can adjust that with plus or minus. Right here too, they have, so in aluminum it's only going to give me 0.9 or 1.0 aluminum wire. But if I go to steel, if I go to flux, it'll give me the other ones. So, 1.0 steel or 0.6. So it does 0.6, 1.0, and all that. So then if I go down to, let's go up to stainless steel. I don't know what wires are available. Let's see. 0.6 and 0.8 stainless steel. Oh, 0.9 and 1.0. So it gives you all of them with stainless steel. And in flux, it'll give you probably 1.0, 0.8, and 0.8, 0.9, and 1.0. So you select your wire size over there, if you can see that. I'm just kind of saying what it says, because you guys can't see it very well. So anyway, we'll go back to aluminum. We want it to be on 0.9, 2T, 20 volts. I don't know. I have no idea. I'll try some different voltages, see if I can ever get to weld. I don't know if I will. But just so you know, it comes with two different liners. So you have this inside your torch. Okay, inside the torch line, this is what came in it. I wanted to try aluminum, so I took this out, and then you put the solid liner in for aluminum, and the wire seemed to feed. So right now it's feeding aluminum wire all the way from the welder up here, and it's a little tricky. You got to be really careful. If there's any little burrs on it, it'll get caught. Aluminum wire is a lot more difficult to mess with. Like I said, I've never done it before, so I'm learning. But if you were going to experiment doing aluminum, I would highly recommend buying a second torch. So just by fluke, the one that I got came broken, and of course they sent me another one right away, but this little piece was broken off the end. So I asked them, send me another torch. They got me another one. But in hindsight, if I was going to do aluminum with this machine, I would want two torches, because it's a bit of a pain to pull the liner out and put it in the other one. So I would set one up for aluminum and do one for steel and stainless steel. But the great thing is it does stainless steel. I mean, you probably would find yourself using that on occasion, and for the price we're looking at for this welder, one that does stainless steel, that's a pretty good deal actually. One thing you need to know is with stainless steel you need your straight argon gas. So I need to turn this guy on. That's my argon. This is my TIG welder. So if you can get past the little bit of a learning curve here, I'm sure you could get this welder to work. I'll do some steel a little bit later. I just want to do some aluminum to see how it goes. But thankfully, since I got the second torch, I'm just going to leave the liner in it. Then I'll just change over this portion, because the only thing that happened was this portion, you can see there, this little thing got broke off right there where the threads are. It just came like that. It was, the package wasn't damaged or anything. It was just a bad luck situation, and of course they took care of it right away. I think this one's an Amazon purchase, so of course Amazon has the best return policy ever, so it's no big deal if something like that happened to you. You can easily get this thing replaced. I'd be surprised if it ever happened again. It was just kind of a fluke thing. Again, this thing broke right off. It was just broken off when I got it, and like I said, the package wasn't damaged or anything, so it didn't happen during shipping. It was just during packaging. Who knows? All right, so I'm going to play around with some aluminum. I'll bring it back in, let you know how it turned out, and see if I get anything to weld. I don't know. It's all me, because I've never done it before. So anyway, I thought it would be fun to try, and bring it back in. By the way, this will not TIG weld aluminum. It's not aluminum TIG welder. It needs to be AC to do that. So you need AC/DC machine. This is not an AC/DC. This is a MIG welding machine only. It also has TIG welding, but it doesn't do both. It doesn't do TIG welding aluminum. Only MIG. It actually kind of works. Here's my settings. I got 14.4, 104. The maximum is 14.4 meters, which is like probably like 180, 200. And yeah, I actually butt welded these two pieces together. You have to have a lot of wire speed, and you know, this is 16th inch probably aluminum. It looks kind of ugly, but I mean, let's clean it up and look at it. And that's for butt welding aluminum. So I will tell you, the thing about it, it's a little bit difficult, is the aluminum wire doesn't like to feed very well. So what I do is I take this thing off, and what I do is I'll manually feed it through so that I have a piece of wire sticking out really far here, and then I'll put it into this thing here, and then just manually put it way into the here. Then I'll push the feed button, which is right here. Feed button's here. It's also right here. You can advance the wire by just pushing that button. You can purge the gas by just pushing that. So you can check if you go, oh, did I turn on the gas? Let me just check it. You can check it real quick, so without having to pull the trigger and make a mess. So yeah, it does weld aluminum all right. You know, I don't know if my penetration's that great. I burned holes through it a bunch of times, and I just kept welding them up. And the method I use is just like doing body work. I just stitch. I can't weld continuously. I tried welding continuously, and this is the kind of results I was getting. Like I said, I'm not an aluminum welder at all. It's never welded aluminum ever, so. But yeah, if you use a stitch, you could probably get it to hold pretty good. I mean, aluminum bent before the weld broke. So yeah, I'd say that's pretty strong for aluminum. Not bad. Cool. So I could do some aluminum projects if I wanted to with this. Quick and easy setup. I could just leave this one in aluminum and have my other welder in steel. Or actually, I could just have two torches, one set up for aluminum and then a second torch set up for steel. And like I said, they're less than $100 for a torch. I mean, they were $60 when they sent me this one, so I don't know what they are all the time, and maybe inflation will go up. But it's not much more money for a second torch, and just leave one with the spring style liner and the other one with the, it's like a plastic tube. So you could do that. Yep, welds aluminum. Pretty neat. Cool. So I'm sure it'll weld steel good. Let's check that out and try the steel. I mean, so far at first, you know, the learning curve was kind of high. I was kind of getting disappointed because of all the time it was spending playing around with all the knobs and buttons and crap. You know, I don't like stuff like that. I like stuff I just turn on and work with, but it's, again, I'm doing something I've never done. So anyway, that came out pretty neat. I was surprised. Man, that's really cool. Look at that. Lumpy, but man, that looks like right there, it looked like I got good penetration. That's where I burnt through. It's just like you're burning, and you got to use a lot of wire speed. So maybe the bigger wire, I got like the 0.8, maybe the 1.0 would work a lot better than the 0.8. That's probably for welding really, really thin aluminum. So anyway. All right, and I'd stitch it. That's what I would do. All right, I'll talk to you guys a bit later. Well, I was doing this too, and it's stuck on there good, but yeah, penetration I got really good right here. Look, that's pretty good. I mean, I'm sure it'll stay. Aluminum is just not like steel. It doesn't look the same, but I mean, you're not going to get a TIG weld with this. But yeah, you could probably get two pieces of aluminum to stay together. I'm sure I could put together like a aluminum frame for like a camper or something like that. So I thought about doing at one point. Maybe I'd make a aluminum frame instead of steel. That's what I was thinking about. anyway, it's possible, and I think it's on there really good. It just doesn't look pretty. But I'm sure if I dialed it in and I started playing with the settings, so you can lower the heat all the way down. So I noticed that I thought this was voltage. It says A, right? Amps. But maybe that's for a different setting in the welder. So this is actual wire speed. So you have volts here, you got wire speed. So it goes down to 12 volts. That's lower than most welders. Usually stop at about 13 or 14. Some of them only stop at 15. And so I lowered it down more. I tried it at really low voltage like that, and it just was too low. You could tell it wasn't penetrating at all. It wasn't even. But if you held it on it for any amount of time, so you kind of got to move really fast with the aluminum. It's just different. I play with it a little bit longer. I probably figured it out. But it is possible to learn aluminum with this welder, so it's kind of nice. I haven't seen anybody else make a video on this one using aluminum, so I figured I'd do this for you guys so you can see. It's definitely possible. Definitely a possible thing. It's kind of neat. Kind of a neat welder. Really cheap too. Really cheap for what it does. So anyway, that's it for aluminum. I'm going to go ahead and put it into steel. Let's just weld some sheet metal with it and see how it does, and then we'll go from there. The thing that might be happening is I was using the argon gas, and I noticed when I first started doing it, I would pull the trigger and not much gas was coming out, and it's my pressure regulator, so it was turned down really low. So I think there wasn't enough gas coming out, so I turned it up. I don't know what I had it at, but it was up, I don't know, around right in here. So it says like 50. I had to get the flow up, but it definitely wasn't 50 coming out. It was coming out normal, you know, like about 15 or something like that. But I had to turn it way up to get it to start flowing enough gas out. So that was probably the issue why I was making such a mess here. And you notice right here, I turned up the gas, and then I was able to do that nice little weld there. So these ones were coming out really kind of crappy, and so it was basically was my regulator's fault. So just, you know, you just have to know what it sounds like, the most amount of gas. So if it's not sounding right, if it just comes out and you don't hear anything, like I could pull the trigger and listen to it, and I couldn't hear anything coming out. So it was like either like a surge of gas, and then it would just be like nothing coming out at all. So I turned it up a little bit more until I felt a normal amount of gas coming out, what it would be normally be at 15 or 12 or something like that. And then it started working. So that's what I was running to here. I was just not, I think I just didn't have the gas coming out. So of course you might need more gas with aluminum. I don't know. I haven't looked up anything on it. So I think like I said, if I practice a little more, I could probably get it down. I mean, look at that weld right there. And then look at on the other side. Right there. It was penetrating really good. Looks pretty good. Penetrating good. So there's a way to get it to set up to do really a decent weld. I mean, that doesn't look bad, really. It's not the prettiest weld, but we're not trying to do that with a MIG welder. You're just trying to get it to hold. If you want to make it look nice, you do a TIG. So anyway, that's just a little bit more about the MIG welding with the problem I had there, and it wasn't really the welder. So anyway, we'll make sure you guys understand it. It's not this. It was my other equipment, because it doesn't come with one. So you have to buy your own separate regulator, and some of those things work good, some don't. I don't know. Tell me which one's good. I don't know. You can leave a comment in the description or down there, and you know, I've tried a few and I've gotten some better than others. So anyway, that's the issue I was having there. All right, so we got her back on here. We're gonna switch it over to, let me get my reading glasses because I can't see any of this stuff. Yeah, it's little things like that just kind of bug me a little bit, but it's still really a great welder. So we're gonna go to, there we go, argon mix, and then we're gonna check here. We want it on 2T, so we got that set. So we go for mode 2T, then we can go to here, 1.0, no, 0.6 wire, and then we don't want it up that high. So is this, so we're gonna have our amps, or I have no idea where to set the wire on this thing, because it's on millimeters, and I don't know what that is, how to set it. So let's bring it down to, let's say, about 14.5. And let's get, I don't know where to put the wire, but we'll just try it and see. And do some welding here and bring it back in. Just going to try it, setting it there. And then set this, let's see. What is this? Oh yeah, we don't want to change that to 2T. Oh, we'll leave the inductance at 5. So it's kind of cool. It's got inductance and everything. So it's pretty well set. So getting used to it now. It just took a bit to learn it, but it's definitely it's not hard to use once you get to know how it works. And again, you could watch this video. If you bought one, you could probably learn how to use it again while watching this. All right, I just turned it on, tried a little bit of butt welding here. I'm using 22 gauge. This is impossible with a lot of welders, and so far I was able to do that. It's mounty. Started out here, kind of lowered the wire speed. It's really pretty simple. This is actually the A is the amperage, is the wire speed. I don't know why they have it A, marked A, but it's wire speed. And then this is the voltage. So it's actually just like a normal welder once you get it in the feature, once you get into MIG welding. So MIG welding with this thing is really easy. It's just a little bit of learning curve and setting it up and getting the right, getting on 2T. There's a lot of button pressing to do that. And knob moving and stuff, and this, and getting your wire speed to right. I don't know why it needs to know the wire speed. Maybe it just, that's for the voltage. I don't know, but let me bring this down to about 6. I was thinking that might be about right, and then I'll try a little bit more and bring it back in. All right, so I brought it down, had it at 15 volts, and I brought it down to 6. You can see right at the end I was getting it going pretty good, and I got full penetration. Going through pretty good, not too bad. So yeah, I mean, 22 gauge is really, most welders, you're not going to weld that. I don't have the greatest ground either. Look I just had this thing here. It's on there. I'll weld this up, let you guys watch, and we'll see how it goes. All right, let's take a look here, guys. Get you guys up nice and close. It's just hardly anything there to grind, really. Got right through it pretty good. So as long as you don't try and weld a bead, you'll never be able to do that in 22 gauge. But I mean, if it welds 22 gauge, for automotive, butt welding this is really difficult. Oh, I can flip this thing around and do, I can't do any more. But yeah, I did that whole section. So I started out here. Again, you saw the mounty stuff. It's kind of messy. I had the voltage too low. I turned it up to 15. Got it to just where it just, you hit it. As soon as you hit it, it welds. You don't want to hold it any amount of time. You just, as soon as it welds, you're done. And then it started to look like this once I turned the wire speed down, and then when I turned the heat up. So I started here with I think a 14, and the wire speed up. Then I raised it up to 15 right in here, and notice I got a couple burn throughs. And then what I did is I just turned the wire speed down and just welded it for shorter periods of time. So right here I got really short periods of time, and it butt welded that no problem. And of course it's warped because I just kept welding all the way through. But yeah, you can weld really thin sheet metal with this welder. It's pretty nice. So yeah, it's definitely a nice welder. You can really dial it in. Really good for sheet metal. So another problem I find is when I weld thicker steel, I don't have anything really thick. This is 16th inch, but when I get to a thicker steel with like the Harbor Freight, I have to change the wire size. I have to go to the .030. If I try and weld it with .026, it just won't do it. So anyway, let's try something a bit thicker and see how it does on that. So far, this thing's pretty darn nice welder. It really welds good and for the price. You just check the link in the description. You just won't believe it. It's actually really good. All right, so I turned it up to 18 and brought the wires up to, probably should go up to about 9.5, something like that maybe. It's a little bit, if you notice at the end, I was getting pretty flat there. Didn't have enough wire coming out. Started out here, just kind of did a little tack to see what it did. It seems to weld no problem with the thinner wire on the thicker material. See if I got anything thicker. All right, 1/8 inch dirty steel. Let's give it a real test. A lot of people, they want to clean everything. Sometimes you can't clean stuff. So in automotive, sometimes you're going to be going over something dirty. We got another piece here that's painted. I need something that's not painted to ground to, though. And we'll try that. See what happens with those parts there. That's a real test, guys. This is not, I don't like to do these, clean metal tests. I mean, anything can do that. Alright, so I had it up to 20. Harbor Freight will not weld at 20 with that thick of steel. Just melted this stuff like it was nothing. That's the titanium 140. You have to have .030 to be able to weld thicker steel with that welder. And this one is 1/8 inch steel. That is right there. And it was able to weld that. I could probably get it hotter than that and melt that in a little bit more. Probably take it up to 22. Maybe I'll give it, let me do a weld next to that. We'll run it up to like 24 or something. Almost burn a hole in it and see if it still welds with .026 wire. Yeah, there it is, right there, guys. That's it for the review to me. It welds with .026. Thick steel. Like a lot of cheaper welders won't do that. Dirty steel. Painted steel. I did a couple passes on this only because I missed my kept on missing the gap. Can't see very good. I had my lighting not very good, so more lighting on the material helps, so you can see better when you're welding. So if you can't see very good, get a big light and stick it on there. We're not going to get all that out though. But man, that sucker, it just melted. I bet you anything, if I saw the other side of that, it'd be melted all the way through. And that's at 20. We had it at 24, and we're only running 110 still. So this thing works on 110 as good as a lot of 220 welders do. And welds thick steel, welds the absolute. We did 2 full extremes. We done thick steel, we done thin steel, we did aluminum. I mean, man, this thing's pretty cool. Check the link in the description. You really, for the price, that's why I told him to send it to me, because I thought it was a pretty good deal. And it said aluminum. The only thing I would definitely do, so if you're looking at this welder, if you're thinking you're going to use it for any aluminum, it is a real pain in the butt to take the liner out and switch it, okay? So get 2 of these. Get one, switch it over to the aluminum one. There's a little tube in the package. I think I showed you earlier in the video. There's a little tube in there. It's all the nylon tube. And you need the nylon tube to get it to feed aluminum, otherwise it'll just bend. Aluminum bends real easy. And sometimes even when you're putting it in, make sure you got the right tip size and all that, because if it doesn't slide real easy through that tip and it just mars up that aluminum a little bit, you'll have a big bird's nest of wire. I've had to pull it through a couple times before I finally figured out to get all the right stuff on it. And then also take the stinger off here and feed it through, and then put it in the tube to feed the new wire in. So that helped. That's all the stuff I had to do. But yeah, this thing welds steel like no problem. I mean, really super thin steel. You can get the settings dialed in. Just do real tight buttons. Don't try and weld a whole, you know, a butt. You know, just keep welding. Just do stitches, you know, and then you'll see you'll get a really nice weld with this thing with even 22 gauge. So I don't know anything else I've seen. Even the Harbor Freight, that one struggled with it. And the problem with the titanium is too that the gas would just stay on. This one here, the gas shuts off when you pull the trigger off. This one's, you know, and it's cheaper. It's actually cheaper than the Harbor Freight one, and it's got a lot more features. It goes a lot further. It does a lot more things. You can actually get a TIG torch for it if you want, and you could do TIG welding. It's not the best TIG welder, okay? It's not a high frequency TIG. It's a strike and arc TIG. You strike an arc and then you can TIG weld with it. But if it's the only welder you got, and you know you were going to do some TIG welding, you could do it. Now you couldn't TIG weld aluminum, but you could MIG weld aluminum with this, because it's set up for doing the stainless steel. You could do stainless steel with this. So really neat machine for the price. If you're looking at those extra things. The other welders I've looked at are great. They're good welders. But this one has some different features. Okay, and that's one of the reasons I really wanted to look at it. And it's got some really neat features that, you know, I think could be a good value to you guys. And anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Hope you like it. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Thanks.